I was a conservative on a Vice debate. Let's get into it. I'm Layla Grey. A lot of you have probably already seen the Vice feminism debate panel that I was on back in October of 2022. Yeah. Seeing the edited down version is pretty interesting, and I'm not surprised at the angles they chose. Before I get into this, I just want to make note that after releasing the video, they disabled the comments in the video. Because guess what? Overwhelmingly, the majority of people were pro-conservative. Like they were pro-Sydney, pro-Pearl. And I can't really fault them for that. They did such a good job. I started my page on Instagram. The only way we can continue on and retain our rights as a society and our individual rights as citizens is to not fall so headfirst into the propaganda. And that's where Vice found me.
First, I just want to say, we know we can't represent everybody's views, but we did try our best to bring together a diverse group of women.
They randomly reached out to me one day. Do you want to be on a Vice panel? And I was like, not really. No, just kidding. I thought it was a really great opportunity. They called me up, I did a test, and I was really worried and hesitant because Vice is so leftist and I am so not. I don't know if you got that from watching the video, but I'm definitely on the conservative side. So yeah, that was a lot. It was a lot. Like, genuinely shocked. I was so shocked. There were so many good bites that were left out. I'm telling you, it was hilarious. Like, it was the stuff that was coming out of their mouth. I was just like, what is this? Like, what reality is this? I'm not a leftist at all. No, not even a little bit. I think it's kind of creepy and weird. And overall, the whole experience was really educational and also terrifying. So I'm just going to watch this and give some of my reaction and input because why not? I didn't really get to put in my 2 cents. They edited down. It was like over 3 hours of filming and they edited down to 35 minutes. So not a lot. Definitely under 40 minutes where people got to speak. So yeah. It was definitely a challenge. It was definitely a challenge. Like, I remember just being really pissed off in the beginning, like really upset. I was just like really irritated.
I strongly think that feminism is more of an action than an identity.
Feminism will never be dead. There's something that we're always going to have to strive and work towards.
As long as there's power and oppression, there will be people fighting for equity.
I think feminism isn't actually about equality. It's about equality when it benefits us.
We're still going to keep fighting.
I'd say it's alive and well. I think what it looks like is going to differ depending on where you are in the world.
I find that a lot of feminist ideology and thought today feels more of like a supremacist movement rather than something that is supposed to be advancing the goals of equality.
Yeah, I definitely think it's getting more and more radicalized, for sure. So it's definitely still alive.
Okay. I want to stop there because let me just say, I was already pissed. Don't go off. That was like what was going through my head. But anyway.
I don't know so much about modern Western feminism and their...
And can I just say how great it was that I got to sit next to this character? By the end of the show, like toward the middle of the show, I just had sort of like rotated my body fully just to like deflect all of the vibes. Like, it was intense.
I believe in the advancement of women, whoever considers themselves a woman.
Whoever considers themselves a woman. And this is really interesting because it really speaks to how little women, I feel, value themselves. Because you're going to reduce your, like dilute it. Anybody anybody who considers themselves a woman, that makes you a woman, like, it's insane to me. Like, it's honestly ridiculous. I don't know why they want to take it there. I don't know. If anyone can be a part of your group, it's somehow less exclusive. It has less mystique, less power, less importance in society because it could be anybody. I don't see that strategy, that long-term game plan, how that's going to help women, especially since you can just declare yourself one at any time.
I think as a Black woman specifically, when you talk about feminism, the mainstream first thing you think about is a certain type of feminism that tends to exclude still, even today, even with intersectional feminism, exclude African-American women, and it's always kind of done that.
I had to look this up because I'm not really well-versed in any of this, and I had to look it up, okay, because apparently, like, some groups of women are, like, mad and jealous at other groups of women because of their privilege or whatever. Which is really, like, I get it. But at the same time, it's like, I don't think they get it, why that happened. I don't think they do.
And has predominantly been the face of what we, quote unquote, consider feminism.
I think feminism is attempting to say, okay, the first thing we agree on is that there are barriers and friction to what I need and what I want based on the fact that I'm a woman. What it ignores is that, and what privilege is that you may not have to think that being a woman and being a Black woman and being a Black woman who has a disability, for example, impacts you further.
There's a competitive nature to this reality. If you were like a genius who was super wealthy, also like an incredible athlete who doesn't get sick, like sort of like Gattaca style future reality, it's still not perfect. It's still competitive nature of reality. I don't understand why that's like a bad thing. I feel like it is what it is. It's a game. Like, play it.
I'm not going to speak anything to race. I'm just talking about gender specifically. It's usually like an excuse. Like, honestly, I think as a girl, you have equal opportunity in the world. I think there's benefits. Like, for example, we have quotas for women in specific jobs that are given to us that aren't given to men. So yeah, I would say it's easier being a girl.
Just from a viewpoint over here, though, it seems there's a lot of pretty privilege in what you're saying, and that you're white and you present.
Do you think I'm pretty? Thank you.
I think that you present in a way that beauty standards have accepted. And so
they call me ugly on the internet all the time.
This is hilarious because they do call her like names on the internet all the time. And like, this was when I was just like, wow, leftists really worship whiteness. Like, really. Like, if you're just white, that's all you need. If you just present with a certain look, then you're obviously beautiful and amazing and perfect. Like, I don't think that's the case.
They be roasting me daily, I swear to God.
I don't mean to say I think you're
special treatment.
No, it's because there have historically and presently in most jobs been fewer women and because of sexism.
How is it sexism when we have no barriers today? So we can pick what we want to pick.
Who doesn't have barriers?
Women don't have barriers?
Women, yeah. What's
we
stopping
have no
you? You
barriers.
can do whatever you want.
I can or you can?
What's stopping you? As a woman.
As a woman. That ignores a lot that I'm a woman with a disability. So there's a lot stopping me that you don't have to think about.
Well, as I said before, speaking about...
What, is she now responsible for genetic mutations? Oh my God. No. This part of the conversation went on like pretty long in terms of what people were saying. And I remember talking about if you have a cell phone, you don't have any limitations. Like, you can go get into STEM. Like, it talked about STEM, talked about a lot of different things. So it's like, it's insane to use that as an excuse. Like, it's literally insane to use that as an excuse. Like, you have a barrier. Oh, they tricked us. Nobody tricked you. You have a cell phone. Go look it up. You want to become anything, go look it up online on your phone. Just pick up your phone. There's no excuse. It's so ridiculous.
Women.
You're speaking for yourself.
You're speaking as an able-bodied
white woman. So you're just going to ignore
white
the
women have it easier, yes.
It's so funny.
It's the industry.
I think the fact of the matter is that women structure their lives differently to men. Men don't give birth. Men don't have to carry pregnancies. Men don't have to be the primary caregiver.
And this is what I hate about feminism, is it doesn't value anything that's like innately feminine. Have you noticed that? Like, it doesn't value that. It doesn't, it values you like the radical feminists. Like, it values you if you get abortion, but it doesn't value if you decide to, you know, keep your child. Like, or it's so disturbing how that aspect is. And I brought that up on the panel where it's like, especially when we were talking about abortion later on, but it was like, where's that balance? Where is it?
Time off, they'll take part-time jobs. The way that men work and women work are astronomically different, and to try to say that they're comparable is where this issue comes from. They're not comparable.
Two things. First of all, let's dig into why they think that they should take these jobs, which is societal sexism, and then also, actually, Department of Labor, all statistics, at least speaking in the U.S.
It's like there are the barriers, right, that we constantly ignore.
Like barriers. I want to know what barriers in the U.S. today as a woman.
Well, as a woman or as a woman of color? Let's be specific.
As a woman. I said as a woman.
Well, no, I can't answer as a woman.
I just feel like your question is...
I can't answer as a woman. Like, it's insane. Okay. There's no way you interact in the larger society. Like, oh my God, I get it. Like, I get it. It's different. Obviously, I get it. Like, I get it. But at the same time, it's different because Black culture is different. It's different because, you know, every culture has a right to value certain things. And we're not a homogenous group where we all behave and value the same thing. Each culture values different things, different aesthetics, different, like all these different things. And so that sort of ties into how the larger society behaves and reacts to you, you know?
Right? It's kind of hostile when you're like, there are no barriers to what I want. Congratulations. That means you have a privilege where you're not facing any friction, and that's showing, and I feel like it's
I think as an American, you're very privileged.
Oh, like, I'm not ignoring that.
And we have less lean muscle mass than men. So there are issues of violence.
Do you see, like, Matrix Peter Pan back there, like, getting so upset? He's like, oh. Ugh. It's so funny to me. Okay.
And assault and stuff like that. And so therefore, there are policies, there are things to help women physically, like, for example, I believe being able to carry a firearm and being able to use that safely to defend yourself against men who are born naturally with more muscle mass than a woman.
So upset, so angry. This is feminist. Like, you're mad that women want to be able to defend themselves and protect themselves. You're upset about that because you need to have your fantasy that somehow there's no such thing as biological sex. It's disgusting. It's insulting. Like, it's insulting.
So they're able to...
I keep hearing the term equity. What would a world that has equity look like? Like, would it be 50% of everyone in the same jobs? Would it be like prison, 50%? That's
equality.
50%. So what does equity look like?
So equity is generally described as a state of fairness because historically a lot of people have been arguing for equality. But what does that give us? Like 0.5 of the 1% being women. This doesn't really do anything for us. And so people have talked about equity instead, which is instead of sameness, it's fairness. And
it's not a fair question. It's
how is it not a fair question?
Kind of proving the point of what people, especially Black women, other people who are anybody who's not white, why we hear feminism and we don't want that label because it means, I'm just gonna say, it means that. Like, it means that you've already gone to a pinnacle of whatever you think your happiness needs or whatever your survivalist needs are when there are people on lower end who are trying to survive, who are trying to get to a point of what should be normal based on what other people have.
It sort of sounds like you're saying feminism is not always inclusive then.
I think it's the mindset. Women taking, like, the agency, women taking initiative. I think it's mindset holding them back a lot because if you want to be in a competitive world and compete, you have to have the right mindset. And I think a lot of people blame their lack of confidence or what society tells them for the reason they're not achieving what they need to achieve, when that's not the case. You have to have the mindset of achieving because the men who built the world had the mindset of building it. So the women who want to engage and build that further, they need to have that same mindset.
I don't think we do. I think that's like assuming that we all want to be capitalist babies.
Right.
I think that men are not.
Capitalist babies. Correct me, but isn't like the Marxist utopia where they like can work for 3 hours at their chosen dream job and then like spend the rest of the time making like SoundCloud tracks? I don't know. I don't know. They don't like the whole idea, the whole thing about like Marxism and communism and all this is that they don't have to be an adult and function and survive on their own. They can just be babies in the government like system and get like their food rations, their money rations, their clothes, and then just spend their time hanging out and having fun. Like that's babyhood.
Not well adjusted in the society, and women are not trying to re-embody what they have built for us. I think that.
Except you're jealous of what they have and you want it. So that I don't understand.
That, like, what we're forgetting is a very important detail, which is just like human respect and dignity.
Yeah,
and not asking people to prove what their experience is and to prove to you. Like, it is like such conservative thinking to say, like, I don't understand, explain it to me, versus just saying, I don't understand and let me respect what you are saying.
I'm respecting
right?
wherever your starting point. I'm respecting that. I'm really respecting that. I'm saying that if you don't have the mindset you can even achieve it, you're never going to even try. So it's
But
never.
achieve what? Like, what are we talking about?
Achieve
Because I
a
feel like you
fair
projected
world.
this like
No,
capitalist ideology on everyone.
Like I was just like, whatever fantasy world thing that you think is the problem. I was just like, what the hell is. I was like, what? Like by this point, also, this conversation was a lot longer and it was edited down. And they said some like really crazy stuff. And I was just like, what are you, like, what is the problem? Like, I'm just giving you a clear, a clear roadmap. Like, if you don't want to be a victim, then don't act like one. Then just think that, okay, I can do what I want. No one's going to stop me. It's going to work out. Like, how is that so controversial? I don't understand how that's controversial. That's just basic, like, survival. Like, stop. I was just like, oh my God, what is this? Like, what is like, I forgot what she said, but it was just like, what are you even talking about? Like, whatever it is that you want, just stop complaining. Please, just stop complaining. Like, that's step one.
Woman.
Achieve whatever it is you're looking for, equality, equity. But what I'm saying is women in the feminist space and a lot of these other spaces, we don't acknowledge that we have to take the initiative. We have to take the action. We have to have the mindset. We have to demand those things.
How many of you would identify as pro-choice? Let's do a show of hands for pro-choice.
I feel like pro-choice is pro-life, though. Yeah.
Okay, and folks who identify as pro-life? Why do you identify as each?
You've gone from legal, safe, rare to, yeah, I'm so proud, let me beatbox in front of the Planned Parenthood, yeah, I got murder on my mind. The fact that it's celebrated that murdering children, especially in late-term pregnancies, is celebrated, that people are so proud of themselves for mutilating a fetus is just, it blows my mind. And I don't think that you need to be pro-life to even take that stance.
You said late-term pregnancy.
Yes.
A lot of abortions do not happen.
I made
in
the
late-term
distinction.
pregnancy.
I made the distinction specifically because lots of people still celebrate.
Listen, that's your body. You do you.
The child is not your body.
A zygote.
A baby. It's so scary for me to hear people calling like guns the biggest equalizer for women, but taking their choices away from them at a policy level. Why is that? Having a gun is an equalizer.
It is.
Having rights is an equalizer.
Yeah, that's
Having
right.
choice is
Right.
an equalizer.
Just like a gun right.
And in this country,
41 forms of
the
birth
policies
control.
that are pushed to continue perpetuating patriarchy and
So I turned around because Pearl,
women,
you have choice, and then I turned around and was like, well, that's too much work. So that's one thing I do remember, and that was funny. I thought it was really funny.
at a policy level. Why is that? Having a gun is an equalizer.
It is.
Having rights is an equalizer.
Yeah, that's
Having
right.
choice is
Right.
an equalizer.
Just like a gun right.
And in this country,
Just like a gun right.
policies that are pushed to continue perpetuating patriarchy and anti-women, like taking the autonomy away from women, it is heartbreaking to see.
You know, through a lot of this conversation, I was wondering, is she commentating on like Afghanistan? Like she's Afghani. Was she commenting on like, is that really where she's coming from? Because I don't know. I was like, where is she complaining about?
Women pushing that propaganda. It's all brainwash. Like you.
Oh, it's brainwash because you don't agree with me.
No,
so therefore
I've
I'm
been brainwashed.
brainwashed.
I have lived deeply institutionalized.
Man,
I have lived under Islam. I'm not interested in any of that. Like, there's no like
You're not
guilt
interested
for
in
me.
human-
No, I'm not interested in like
living,
thinking that like women are doing this really bad thing. Like in my religion, abortion is actually allowed. If the woman needs it, she's allowed because, you know, it's very.
Is she using Islam? Is she really doing that? Like, really? I love leftist logic. It's so insane. I don't think that it's allowed for you to just decide, oh, not today. I'm going to look for the hadith that covers that, where you can specifically, you know, go out, be unmarried, you know, get pregnant and just decide, you know, you need a Planned Parenthood open. So in case you can, you know, do that. I'm sure that use case must exist in some hadith somewhere that she wrote. I don't know. I don't think that's how it works though.
very interesting how like fundamental America is. Like fundamentalist.
This is nothing to do with
like
even
deep
religion. This is very
conservative
basic
thinking.
scientific human rights.
We're also talking about people not having access to abortion clinics where they're doing the things themselves and they die. Listen, for whatever reason, you don't need to explain it to anybody, but a lot of times when we're talking about access to reproductive health, for me, I'm thinking about Black, Indigenous, people of color, particularly women and girls.
So like every time.
You don't need to explain it to anybody, but
Every
a lot of
time.
times when we're talking about access to reproductive health, for me, I'm thinking about Black, Indigenous, people of color, particularly women and girls who are working class, who do not have even access to like proper sexual education. It's the oppressive state of saying, I will force you to have a child even against your own will, right? Especially when you're thinking about women and girls who would be forced to have these children.
Do you notice, okay, this is a great insight into propaganda. Do you notice how they say forced to have these children? As if there's like some period after you get pregnant, you can like just turn it off or something. Like that is a really crucial language manipulation that they use, forcing someone to have a baby. No, you decided to enter into this whole process. Or I'm talking about the overwhelming majority. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the overwhelming majority who decided to, you know, get into this whole process. So yeah, that whole forced language needs to be cut out like right away. That's not how it goes. It's not forced unless it's, you know, we're not going to say the word.
The overruling is marginally affecting people of color, people in poverty, way more than people who are going to get access to those abortions.
Actually,
anyway.
incorrect. You're the misquote. There's actually more abortion.
It's all just social structure set up around body.
Pearl, I saw your hand up. Yeah.
I think women want to sleep around.
Okay, I just have to say, this conversation had devolved so severely. They had to come in multiple times and tell people to stop talking over each other. And if you wanted to say something, you better raise your hand and they'll call on you. Like, that's how bad it was, because it was like heated. Like the first portion of it was really, really long. Like it was a long conversation and it was like heated and they couldn't get audio. Like, so you had to raise your hand and you had to like wait to be called on. And it's just... yeah.
And not have any consequence for it.
Hell yeah, we do.
Yeah, instead of, you know, taking personal accountability and being on birth.
What exact consequence? You're not going to get pregnant. Matrix Peter Pan is not going to get pregnant. I don't understand. Where is it going to sit? Like, this is insulting. It's insulting.
Control. They just want to like do whatever they want. Okay. Why is it empowering to sleep around?
Women just wanted this, and I wonder why you have so much like hatred towards women.
I don't hate women.
Where does that root in? It
I don't
sounds
hate
like
women.
you do.
I am a woman. Okay, the question was, Why does abortion keep getting brought up? 40% of women that have had abortions have had 2 or more. 40%.
Good for
so,
them.
so what does that say to me? That means you're using it as a form of birth control, and they don't track the 60%.
What kind of abortion?
I think actually that benefits men because it means that men can have sex with you without consequence. It means that you can sleep with whoever you feel like. Great, but there are consequences because women are the ones who get pregnant and carry babies and give birth.
It's very binary version of
yes,
sex.
because sex is binary. But please let me finish my point.
Oh God.
It's true.
I love how Peter Pan's like, it's not bad. It's like, where is this going to be an issue for you? Like, you're never gonna carry a child, so why are you so upset? Like, it's a big deal for women. It's a big deal. It is a big deal.
Tricking women into thinking that aborting a pregnancy, terminating a pregnancy is something to be celebrated, when in reality, for a lot of women, especially those who are doing it under duress, you know, in the small circumstances where something really traumatic has happened to them, that's a medical decision.
Access reproductive health care.
It's anti-woman, right? It's
No, it's
anti.
not. How is it anti-woman to put the rights back to the states? Like,
It does not center people to have that voice for themselves and their
Locally, the
ability to
women
tell me what to do.
Locally,
Right?
It's
If we
giving
wanna put it
more.
that
It's
way.
giving more agency to women because it's moving it back to the state level. So locally,
But why would the state have
locally,
the ability
women
to tell me what to do?
Because it
Locally,
does
the
in
women
multitudes
have
of
that
different
power.
areas. If you take out the viewpoint that life begins at conception, which is a really big defining principle for both the pro-life crowd, who very, very, vehemently believe that, and then obviously a lot of the pro-choice crowd do not believe that. Taking that out of the equation, you do not have just whatever kind of autonomy you want as a person.
I saw your hand creep up.
The Dobbs decision for me reinforced how important it is that we approach these issues from a cultural perspective, because it reinforces something that I have told many of my colleagues and peers in the past, which is that so long as you lack a cultural consensus, any issue can become a political football that can be decided by another election cycle. And so long as there is no strong consensus, I would expect this to be our reality going forward, these extremely vitriolic and aggressive conversations until there's another miraculous consensus that brought about Roe v. Wade. But what it more or less reinforced for me is that we're going to have more of these difficult conversations.
I want to talk about transgender issues. Should trans women be included in feminist conversations? How about in women's spaces?
Yes, they're women. What's the question?
Pearl,
Trans women are women.
So I want to come at this from the position of an athlete.
Oh, Jesus.
So I play semi-pro basketball, semi-pro volleyball. So when it comes to...
They don't respect you. They don't care about you. They don't care about your personal safety. They don't care about your physical needs. They don't care about your natural desires and inclinations. They don't care about you. Peter Pan doesn't care about you. Gonna do what he wants to do. They don't care. They don't care if you're getting your brains splashed all over the walls. They don't care if you're getting concussed. They don't care if you're losing scholarships. They don't care. They don't care. And the fact that so many women are just like cheering for this, it's disgusting.
Like athletic spaces, I don't think that trans women should be allowed into athletic spaces. There's less opportunity in some industries.
We're all the same. There's no such thing as biological differences.
Even if I have years more of training, sports.
Have you tried confidence?
Eli, hold on, Minnie.
Sorry,
Eli.
confidence can't make me bench what a guy benches.
I don't
Confidence can't make me
you guys
6'7".
are so hostile. She's sharing her experience
can't make
in
me
a
6'7".
specific
No, she's
field.
sharing and I'd have to go.
No, she's not. She's
Misogynist. She's the misogynist because she doesn't want to get her face kicked in by a dude in a dress.
She's a woman who's had an experience. You guys are like, meh, meh, meh. But when you're like, I'm a black person that did this, and this, then it's valid and fair and viable.
Eli, I want to give you the chance to respond.
So this is basically a joke of a talking point. Everyone has biological advantages in sports. How tall are you?
5'11" and a half. I'm tall.
I'm 5'8". I am a trans woman. You would crush me. You would absolutely crush
Bone
me.
density, wrist strength, muscle density, you can't switch those.
Yeah, exactly. You would crush me.
But also, Eli, you would never play at the level that Pearl plays because you would never get there.
So let me give you a few more examples here, too. So Michael Phelps produced more lactic acid in his body, which caused him to swim better than any of his competitors. This was widely celebrated. And nobody contested it. Now, this is in performance.
It's shocking. It's shocking. I'm just sitting there like, I cannot even. It's shocking.
Enhancing hormone. So we all have different bodies. And now I'm not saying that trans women who aren't on hormones should participate, but there are, every major medical and every major sports organization agrees that trans women
participate in.
That's misinformation, by the way. I'm referencing several different studies. I'm a trans woman and a researcher.
It's getting personal. I don't want it to be
a lot
personal.
of us live in this space where we're told that our opinions don't count because they're not the right kind of opinions, and we're constantly shouted over and talked over, regardless of what we look like, because there's one group in society that basically takes precedence, and it's frustrating. So yeah, of course, it's frustrating because when we try to talk about it, we get shouted down, we get told to be quiet, we get spoken down too as well. So there's hostility there for plenty of women.
Let's try to make this an opportunity to speak.
You're literally a white woman from Australia. You live in a bubble, and you're pissed that voices that have been silenced forever finally can be heard.
That's why they have the voice, because they speak up.
Okay, we're having a
Oh my God, I didn't see her reaction. She's just
down, we get told to be quiet, we get spoken down too as well. So there's hostility there for plenty of women.
Let's try to make this an opportunity to speak.
You're literally a white woman from Australia. You live in a bubble, and you're pissed that voices that have been silenced forever finally can be heard.
That's why they have the voice, because they speak up.
This is about free and equal participation for transgender people in social life. And the right sees this as a socially acceptable way to begin to remove trans people from different engagements in our society. So it does just start with sports or bathrooms, something that they find is more acceptable. And then at this point, they started to move into education, getting trans teachers fired, banning trans books. This is a route that is very effective because it's seen as more acceptable.
One too many.
One. Leah Thomas is the only one.
Too many.
If women's sports were actually going to end in some way.
Up at the beginning, how does that tie into femininity?
Which is, like I was talking about before, barriers and friction, less value I will have for society. Privileges. I used to have thinness, and now I'm getting fatter. Things are changing. And I think every single time that we talk about feminism,
this is literally just people being jealous. Like, the left is literally a group of people who are jealous of people who have things that they want and covet, and them getting mad that they don't have it. Like, it's so stupid.
Pretty privilege should be discussed because we have these ideas.
Watch, if they had their way, pretty privilege would be removed because, like, anyone who was seen as, like, particularly attractive would have some scarring done or something happen to them so that they couldn't be more pretty than others. So
your skin tone is this.
Look like I saw it.
I think a lot of times the women that complain about beauty standards don't complain about them when they got privilege, when they were young and attractive and thin.
As a Black woman, one of the most integral parts of the beauty conversation has been colorism. I'm a dark-skinned Black woman, proud of it and proud of being myself. For the most part, I did not. Why am I going to cry about this? Mm-hmm. I did not grow up thinking I was beautiful because I was that. And I think in the Black space, we have these conversations, but I think I'm glad to bring it up because I think feminists actually really should be part of the colorism topic because colorism is not just shades within being Black. It's shades because the beauty standard is the closer to whiteness you are, the more beautiful you are. I think it's something that...
Yeah, but how did that standard get set? That's a whole other conversation. If your culture doesn't also value it, because colorism exists in the Black community, because they value Okay. But anyway, everything's a psyop. Everybody was brainwashed into doing this for hundreds of years, and there's no way to counteract it. Okay, yeah. Even though we're all very much aware of it, I don't know. The whole colorism thing, it's sad because it's like steeped in the Black community itself. It's honestly, I mean.
If more people in different shades, particularly white women, because of knowing that standard, and we work, that's why people feel like you have to be a Black feminist, because it's a topic that only really Black feminists are talking.
Morris?
Things to themselves because they fall into this trap of thinking that you have to be this way. And if you aren't this way, then there's something inherently wrong at your core, which is nonsense. You're perfect the way you are.
Okay, so in one sense, yes, that's true, because you have to have like a positive mindset about yourself. You have to like love yourself in order to stop doing the negative things that cause you to be unhealthy. So yeah, you have to love yourself, but you can also love yourself and acknowledge you have some things you can improve on, obviously.
That's literally.
I was going to say, yeah, beauty in the industry is exploitative, but also we have to remember a lot of the beauty standards are based around health, what's perceived as health, like symmetry, certain weights, things like that. So there is that side where we have to balance it, and I think we're seeing so much more representation, which I think is incredibly important.
Well, I just think that like.
Yeah, there's no such thing. It's not biological. Yeah, it is, because when you're looking to reproduce with someone and you're actually engaged in like life, yeah, you want to know that they have good genes. That's kind of what it is. Like, it has a purpose. I know for certain communities, there's no purpose to anything because they're not there to fulfill the goal of life and reproduction in any way. Like, they're not based on that. So yeah, I guess there's no purpose to looking a certain way. I don't know. For them, there isn't. But yeah, you definitely want to have certain cues, physical cues, to help identify a mate.
Like, if women really cared about beauty standards, like the obesity rate wouldn't be what it is.
But what
Let's
about
try
you?
to attain the beauty standards. I just think like some people.
But what about you? She's not fat. Where's she fat? She's an athlete. How's she fat?
People are more attractive, some people are less attractive, and that's just, you know, where would I rate myself, 1 to 10?
No, we're not rating. It's okay.
That's what I mean. Like, I just think like some people are more attractive.
So if you are overweight, you don't care about beauty standards.
Well,
is that right?
Like the point is that the beauty standard is thin, right?
Your standard?
But obesity comes from men and women, though.
Yeah, you're right. That's true. But I'm saying if women really wanted to fit the beauty standard, they would be thin.
I know, from my experience as well, is growing up, again, in a mostly white neighborhood but I was always comparing myself to literally other people who have a different body type, but I was considered other or to something.
I can't.
Because it didn't conform to that body type.
I don't get this idea of like. I don't know. It's really hard for me to like relate to this. Like, I compared myself to other people and I got upset and it was hurtful and everything. And I've never had that thought cross my mind. I've never said, oh, I wish I could look like this. I never wish I could look like that, or I could be like this. Like, you know, maybe models. Yeah, you look at models, but models come in all the different, like, it has a certain like physique to it and things like that. Yeah, you can be like that, but like, oh, I wish I could have different skin, or I wish I could have this or different or this. It's like, I don't get that. I like myself. I don't know. So it's kind of hard. I never related to that. But I guess, you know, it happens with certain people in certain circumstances. I don't know.
And that same body type became popular in a lot of, you know, Black communities, of the fact that when it was on Black skin, it was an issue.
Feminism, big picture. We're going to try again. Is feminism dead?
I'm thankful to be a participant and believer of it.
I think feminism is very much alive and well.
As far as the West goes, I think that feminism has been cannibalized by other movements like leftism, like transgenderism.
So I think feminism is very much alive and well. I think it takes different forms depending on who you're talking to, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. And as I've defined in the beginning, for me, I use it as a lens. So I don't think I'll ever stop having it in my arsenal, if you will. It makes for a good vice panel.
Okay, we're done. I appreciate everybody taking the time. I know this is, it got a little heated at times, but thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Can I stand up now? Oh my God. Are we actually really done?
I love arguing.
I don't think I have sat this long in a little chair.
That was wild. Drama.
It was nerve-wracking.
Some of the people on the panel were entirely subsumed in misinformation.
I think that we women need to stick together and figure out what a woman is.
We were all loud, outspoken women.
Some people are soft.
I hate the idea that we're not supposed to be angry about it. It's okay to be angry about being oppressed.
It was like surprising to get tone policed on camera by a white woman.
I don't know why everything has to become about me being a white person, as if that somehow circumvents my opinions on issues.
The personal is political, the political is personal.
We need to have more spaces where we have literal political ideologies of different backgrounds.
Feminism is always and has been a hate group.
Feminism isn't dead in America.
Why is she sitting on the computer? Like, what is she doing? So wound up. I was so, like, this is hilarious. Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you, like, you can't take a day.
Yeah. I think feminism is doing its best.
I'm ready for a glass of wine.
So it was just crazy seeing, like, in person. Like, you watch it on TV and you're just like, whoa. In person, it's like so draining and so ridiculous. And the whole time I was there, I was sitting there, I was just trying not to like burst out and like make something so that they could, you know, make me look bad. Like, you know, I didn't want to do that. Because obviously, I mean, look what they did to Sydney. Like, they put like her gross picture on the cover, and like, you know, I just feel like they were going to use anything they could to make it worse. But yeah, like at some point, during the abortion thing, I was talking about, again, why is it that we don't help women? Why is the left attacking women who want to live out their role as women, like reproductive role? And Peter Pan like started screaming. I was like so shocked. I was like so shocked. So it was like a really crazy, really intense thing. I do not recommend going on Vice for the first, like if your first time being on TV is going on, if you're conservative and the first time going on TV is a leftist organization like Vice, I don't recommend it. It's going to be very challenging. Except, I mean, obviously the production, everybody was super professional, kind, nice, professional. There was no anything weird or anything like that, but just you're going to be edited like in a certain light. And yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot. Having to deal with leftists is a lot just in general. But anyway, so that's my I'm glad I was able to get this out. I tried to, if it was difficult for you to get through, can you imagine like 4 hours? Just think about that. All right, so I'm Layla Grey. You can follow me on Propaganda Fluent on YouTube, and you can find me on Instagram at Propaganda Fluent, where I talk about propaganda, social engineering, and this whole psyop we call life right now. I don't know. It's a lot. So that's what I talk about. Anyway, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe to my channel. Bye.